And we're live.
And we're live.
And we're live.
Hey,
Chi Discovery Week.
Chi Discovery Week, day number 1. My name is Chris Shelton.
And I'm Parisa Shelton.
And thank you so much for joining us for Chi Discovery Week. You know, if you're joining us this week, and hopefully you'll join us for all 5 days, you're obviously interested in this old ancient healing modality.
This ancient healing modality called Qigong. Wow.
Yeah, so what is Qigong anyways?
Qigong is an ancient practice, thousands of years old. And so it has withstood the test of time. And ultimately, the intention is to help increase our health. That's what we teach, at least.
Yeah, there's many different styles of Qigong. There's styles for internal martial arts to develop internal power. There's some styles that teaches a mysticism, and what we do is here at the Shelton Qigong is we only teach the practical application of Qigong, which is the origin actually of Tai Chi and the origin of acupuncture in classical Chinese medicine, which is how to harness this life force energy, in this case, in order to benefit your health, your mental, emotional well-being, which improves your quality of life and your overall longevity. So it actually has a way of being able to preserve your life as well too, because you know in Chinese medicine our kidneys are responsible for how long our life will be. At the time of conception between God, our parents, and our environment, this predetermines our kidney well, which is a battery, and these kidneys are the foundation or the root of so many different systems in the body. So besides secretion and excretion, which the kidneys are normally known for according to Western medicine, the kidneys in Chinese medicine have hundreds of functions. They control the bones, the bone marrow, the brain, the marrow of the brain, all the major glands of the body, the sexual reproductive organs. It's the basis of blood of the body, the fluids of the body, connects to your ears, the hair on your head.
Wow.
I mean, it just goes on and on. It's the motive force, the foundational for heat in the body. So digestion, assimilating food, for the heart to beat. This comes from the origin of the kidneys itself. So this kidney is like a battery, and it's a precious commodity. So as we age, what happens is that this battery naturally declines. Now, there are some things that will actually expedite the process of this aging process, which is poor diet and lifestyle habits.
Okay.
Burning the candles at both ends.
Which means
not getting enough sleep. If you're somebody who's working all the time or studying all the time and only averaging a few hours of sleep a night, guess what? Your kidneys get replenished by sleep. So Qigong also is not a replacement for sleep. So getting enough sleep is important. So burning the candles at both ends, too much prolonged stress for long periods of time.
Prolonged stress.
So being in that fight or flight mode for a too long period of time. These are all things, and obviously drugs and alcohol, excessive use of alcohol will also deplete this kidney well. So the cool thing about Qigong is that it helps to replenish this kidney well and slow the aging process. And during this week here, we're going to be talking about the different components and aspects of Qigong, but really, who is day 1 for? What is day 1 for?
Day 1 is all about the opportunity that Qigong can bring to your life. And it is said to be the art that prolongs life and prevents disease. And Chris has a wealth of technical information, and he could talk about the kidneys for days. But ultimately, it's simple practices, movements, guided breath practice, and mind-focused training to harness your life force energy, your Qi. And when you get your Qi, your energy in balance, then magic unfolds.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and if you have a hard time understanding what Qi is, and if you're brand new to this concept of Qi, then I like to talk about it to my clients in terms of blood or fluids inside the body. So your blood is your energy, is your Qi of your body. So we have a saying that the blood contains the Qi, and the Qi moves the blood around the body. And we have to have energy inside the body, some form of electricity or energy, because how does your heart beat? What about the neurological pathways inside the body? So there obviously is energy inside the body. So what the great thing about Qigong is that it allows us to be able to access and to harness this. And like I said in the opening of this discussion here, is for first and foremost to improve your health and mental emotional well-being. And right now in this time-space reality that we're living in, the reality is that there's a lot of stress out there. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of fear, which by the way also attacks the kidneys. And we're going to talk about that, the different emotions that attack the different organs of the body and shows up as disease. So there's a lot of fear. People are in shock for many different reasons, whether maybe they're seeing on social media, maybe what they're seeing in the news, maybe what they're actually seeing in their
Environment.
community, right? Or their right.
Totally.
So so what I really love about Qigong is that it's so simple, and I think the best thing about it is that it does not discriminate. It doesn't discriminate against age, gender,
Anyone can do it.
yeah, ethnic background. We've had, because we're clinical directors for the Special Olympics for Northern California, and for a program called Healthy Athletes, Strong Minds. And what I love about it is that paraplegics from the Special Olympics takes our classes and they receive benefit. So everybody can receive benefit. And the cool thing is that, as we'll see here in a little bit, when we start to demonstrate, is that you can do it from a seated position, you can do it from a standing position. You don't need any special clothing, you don't need a yoga mat. It's just something you could take with you anywhere. And so once you learn some of these simple practices, then what happens is that no matter where you are, you can go ahead and do it. And I think that's the other great thing too, is that the Qigong is so easy to learn.
It's super simple, and it's in the simplicity that makes it so profound.
So a little background about myself. If you're brand new to the Qi Discovery Week or to Qigong, or you're brand new to Shelton Qigong, once again, my name is Chris Shelton, and I've been studying these ancient arts for over 30 years now. My introduction to Qigong came about in an indirect way, but I'm so grateful that it did come about. So my old story, not the story that I identify with, but the story that at least got me here speaking in front of you guys today, is that I grew up in a dysfunctional home, and I started doing drugs at a very young age. And then by the age of 18, my senior year in high school, I had my first heart attack from a meth overdose. Wow. Doctor said it should have killed me. I was lucky enough to survive, but then a few months later, because I overheard the doctor telling my dad that I got a hold of some bad stuff, so I used again this heart attack. The second one wasn't quite as severe, but it was my wake-up call. It was, and that's the great thing about pain, hopefully, is that pain will cause you to wake up. And so I put myself into Taekwondo because I realized I was going to end up dead, in prison, or both. And then I started competing right away. And one night before a match, I was accidentally kicked in the back, which left me almost paralyzed from the waist down. I mean, I couldn't walk for quite a while. And doctors were saying at the time, like, Chris, if you move the wrong way, you might not walk, or things you take for granted, like going to the bathroom or having sex again, that might be out the window. So anyways, went to a physician. This physician, Nancy Bergman, she had a therapist working for her at the time, and he was a martial artist. And, I'm 19 years old now, and he's talking to me about Qi. And, at age 19, I thought he was full of it. Like, there's no such thing as Qi. The closest thing to Chia that I was getting is like chia seeds or chia pets, and so anyways, so I had nothing to lose. He was starting these brand new Qigong classes. And like I said, this was over 30 years ago. Wow. Nobody was really talking about Qigong back then. And very few people, at least in California, were even talking about, Tai Chi, right?
So that was being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, so I had other health problems too. I had digestive problems and sinus problems. I lived on all kinds of medications. And then...
From the drugs and the emotional turmoil.
Inside the home. So then after about 6 months of doing these practices that we're going to teach you this week, I kid you not, but I just woke up one day. It was like, wow, when did I stop living on the antibiotics, the Sudafed and the Actifed and the antacids and those kinds of things? So I couldn't tell you when the direct change happened, but there's all of a sudden the realization, like, wow, I am now feeling better. And the only thing that I had changed in my life really was I had introduced Qigong. That was it. So
that's so for somebody who's in chronic pain and who's been struggling, what would you say to that person?
Qigong is not a belief structure. Now, sure, mindset, for like self-development and those kinds of things is always beneficial. But what I recommend to people is try out the Qigong for a month. Try it out for a month and see how you feel at the end of the month. Now, there's been so many people, we're going to bring up some case studies here throughout the week, and there's been so many people that have actually gone on and become one of our teacher trainers, because we also have a teacher training program, that came to us with chronic disease or chronic inflammation and chronic pain, and was able to resolve it by the introduction of Qigong. So what I tell people is it's baby steps.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
And there's hope.
There's hope.
There is hope.
Because really the reality about Qigong is that it actually empowers you to take control over your own health care. And that's what we need in this I mean, we've always needed, but now more than ever, this is something that we definitely need, because there's a lot of stuff going on out there, and there's a lot of emotional suffering going out there. And as a result of this most emotional suffering, we're seeing a lot more diseases show up, and especially inflammatory types diseases.
A lot of it.
Yeah. So.
And our system is called healthcare, but a lot of times it's sick care. Whereas Qigong and what we're trying to share is literally healthcare, to empower you to take care of your own health. And it seems so simple, it's so simple, why more people don't do it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So what can we expect for this week for the viewers that are joining us for the Qi Discovery Week?
Well, we're going to do some Qigong. We're going to take us through some specific practices. We're going to share some case studies, some seems like miraculous results, but it's really, if you understand how the energy flows in the body, it's simply just being in the flow and really finding your balance within yourself. And we're going to just have a good time.
Have a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's one of the keys, right? Is to have fun.
Okay, so a couple of questions that people, we sent out a survey, and by the way, if you have any questions, please put it into the chat, and towards the end of today's class,
I got the chat over here and a list of questions.
We'll go ahead and answer those questions for you. But a couple of questions that people had emailed in is, well, what's the origin? And like we said, it's a 5,000-year-old practice, at least 5,000 years. It actually, like I said, is the foundation of acupuncture in Chinese medicine, because thousands of years ago, people were so enlightened and connected to nature, to source, minus the ego, that they have this all-knowingness of this interconnectedness between the body and their natural environment.
Wow.
In fact, a lot of diseases that show up actually, for example, as time continued to evolve, diseases that would show up would happen when seasons were out of seasons. And
seasons were out of season.
So for example, summer months, if it was cold during the summer months, then the next fall or winter, the diseases and the deaths that would show up as a result of the seasons being out of season. So this is how connected to nature we really are. Now, nowadays, because of modern technology and such, we don't really see that in GMOs. But also, we don't see that as much, but we are seeing an increase in different types of viruses and illnesses that are coming about as a result of all this change that's going on in the world. So the foundation of Qigong in and of itself was really to help people understand their interconnectedness with their environment, and how to work in harmony with their environment to be able to, live in harmony, but also to prolong their life and have the quality of life that they really wish to have. And most people don't realize this, but you're supposed to live 120 years.
I'm smiling because I think we even can live longer than 120 years. And one of the benefits of Qigong is that it restores the fountain of youth. So how does that work?
Well, it restores the fountain of youth because what it does is it helps to slow down this aging process. Think about it. If you're in a situation where you're not in fight or flight mode all the time, and when God or the Tao developed our bodies, that sympathetic nervous system, this all-knowingness developed that sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, to get you out of a bad situation. Like if your house is on fire, or if you're being chased by a bear, to get out of there.
Yeah, the blood moves away from the brain and into the muscles, the eyes dilate.
Away from the stomach, So if you're digesting food, what will happen is it'll take the blood from the stomach, right, send it to the lungs, the heart, to the extremities, so you get out of there.
Exactly.
The problem is that nowadays is that most people are in fight or flight all the time. Constantly.
Constant state.
So that sympathetic nervous system is constantly on, and it does not know the difference between being chased by a bear, running late for an appointment, being behind on bills, seeing the stuff that's going on the news or in social media. So it's being triggered all the time.
Children acting out.
Children acting out, or parents acting out.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so it doesn't know the difference, between that bear chasing you or day-to-day stress. So what Qigong does is it helps to decompress the stress.
I like that. Decompress the stress.
Yeah, decompress the stress.
That's true.
And it's so simple to do that anybody could do it. And so the whole purpose, once again, is really to empower you to be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. And ultimately, for you to become your own superior doctor. So what does that mean?
What does that mean?
That means that you become so aware of your body on the inside that you could be aware of disease setting in before it actually sets in. Because we take all of our internal organs for granted, but these internal organs, besides pumping blood and digesting and secreting fluids and those kinds of things, they have so many other functions. And in clinical practice, then what happens is that we actually will see these diseases that will actually show up as a result of these organ disharmonies. And also too, emotional stagnation of emotions not being processed properly, that then will also show up as disease too.
Like, for example, if you're angry at a parent, for example, you harbor that resentment and it gets stuck in the body and there's nowhere for it to go, then that will create illness.
That will create inflammation and that will create disease. And a lot of times what will happen is that it'll start off first, with what we call as channel pathology, where there becomes a blockage in the channel itself. And then what will happen is that if that's not removed, then it creates a deficiency. That deficiency or stagnation, will then show up as an actual physical disease. So our bodies are always talking to us. And one of the practices that I have on iTunes and Spotify is called the Center of Balance meditation. And the whole purpose of that meditation is to first and foremost get you out of your head and back into your body, but also too to allow you to really get to know inside your body. So that way you become aware of your body.
This is out of balance.
Yeah, and then you say, okay, well, if my
balance.
spleen's out of balance, for example, okay, well, I could do the spleen Qigong clearing exercise or the spleen healing sound in order to bring that back into harmony. So besides teaching classes, we also have a clinical practice, the Morning Korean Healing Arts Center. So we're based out of San Jose, California, but we've relocated also. We live in Los Angeles and Burbank. And we see patients in clinic as well too for various types of diseases and chronic pain. And what we do is we actually will give these Qigong tools or practices as kind of like prescriptions to help the patient in their healing journey. So what we like to say, it's, even though I'm not a physician, it's a doctor-patient relationship, right? Because we like to empower people to take charge of their own healthcare. So it's not a codependent relationship.
Yeah, just as a provider.
As a provider, a care provider. We give you the tools, whether it's Qigong practices, whether it's a change in diet and nutrition, not according to Western nutrition, but according to Chinese nutrition. Sometimes we recommend certain herbal formulas and herbal ancient remedies as well too, to further help aid in this healing process. So I've seen thousands of people throughout the career. We've had some pretty exciting opportunities. A couple of years ago, thanks to my friend here in Hollywood, Eric the Trainer, I was able to be on tour for a short period of time with Def Leppard and Journey, treating the bands on tour. Maria became friends with Maria Shriver. She's published 14 of my articles on her website, Architects of Change. And so this has been a really amazing journey. And what we love about Qigong and this new venue or platform that we've developed is that we could actually reach people around the world.
At the same time.
At the same time.
It's miraculous. So even though we can't be in the same space together, we can be in the same time continuum, and simply by moving and balancing our chi, which we're going to demonstrate in a bit, you can create balance in your little microcosm in your world, but also in the world at large.
Yes, and once again, I talked about the Special Olympics. So thanks again to Maria Shriver. Back in 2015, I performed Qigong at the World Games in 2015. And after that, then what happened was the Special Olympics started a pilot program called Healthy Athletes, Strong Minds. And we went for training in Rochester, New York. And at the time it was a pilot program, but it was to give tools, mindfulness tools, to the athletes, coaches, and their families.
On how to deal with stress.
And it's not really only about the stress of competition, because most of the athletes that we've always met and worked with actually are not stressed about the competition.
They love
It's just so much fun for them. But it's more important, like, well, what do you do if somebody's bullying you?
Right.
What do you do if you get in an argument with somebody?
With a family member.
Or somebody you're living with. And we didn't know until we got involved with the Special Olympics, but people with intellectual disabilities tend to have a shorter lifespan. So it's like, okay, how can we help and be a part of this? And what's interesting is that Priest and I are the only clinical directors that are not clinical psychologists or clinical psychiatrists, So we're not coming at the emotional state from here. We're coming at it from in here. These Qigong practices are meant to deal with emotional stress. And in fact, in Chinese medicine, the leading cause of death and disease is emotional stress and trauma. And it's not that stress or it's not that emotions are bad. It's when the emotions are not expressed appropriately, or they're depressed, right, or suppressed, or even worse, some of the worst diseases that I see, like Lyme and lupus. The common thread with those folks is that they don't feel emotions like anger.
Oh, the anger just,
yeah,
they don't even connect.
They don't connect. And it's not that they had to have necessarily something happen in their life, like abuse or something that caused them to disconnect. Just for some reason in their psyche, they just disconnected from...
Don't get angry.
Right.
Or they feel that they don't get angry, and then somehow something makes them angry, and then it causes havoc inside the body.
Inside the body. So...
And actually, that's one of the things I love about Qigong and Chinese medicine, is that if you are dealing with a situation like anxiety or depressive disorder, it's not here. It's not in your head. It's actually here in your internal organ systems being out of balance that then affects how you think and what's going on in your mind.
Right.
So it's kind of like a little switcheroo.
Yeah. You know, a few years ago, well, actually about 7 years ago, Priest and I were at the Shrine Auditorium here in Los Angeles to see Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra speak to a sold-out audience. There was actually a table between both of them, and with a vase, clear vase with a rose with a flower in it. And Deepak said to the audience, he said, "I want you, everybody in the audience, I want you to look at this flower." He says, "Study the flower." He says, "Everybody study the flower." Everybody says yes. He says, "Now close your eyes." And he said, "Now can everybody see the flower with your eyes closed?" And everybody said yes, right? He said, "Now open your eyes." He said, "Nowhere inside your brain is there a flower." He says, "So what does this represent?"
What does that mean? Yeah.
He said that it represents that the brain is a reflection of the reality. Our consciousness is actually here. And actually in our Northern California, where we're originally from, there's a group of scientists called Heart Math in Santa Cruz. Actually, I believe it's in Felton, California, which is
in the mountain area,
which is near Santa Cruz. And they've proven, or they're proving, that our consciousness is here in the chest, is here in the heart. And for years, for the longest time, science has been trying to discover where our consciousness is here. Nowhere in the brain is the consciousness here, it's actually here. So the great thing about these Qigong practices is that it allows you to tap in, to step into your consciousness, into your higher self. So besides working with the Special Olympics, besides seeing patients in clinic, pre-pandemic, we have contracts with Santa Clara County Employee Wellness Department. And still working with the county, still working in a different fashion now. In a different capacity. So prior, we were teaching weekly classes, live classes, but also we'd give talks to like the county supervisors, to the sheriff's office, nurses, doctors on disease prevention, road workers. I give these tools to road workers. There's a great group of guys, mostly guys and some gals in that community there. So anyways, the whole idea was to empower people and really let people know that, well, how do we know when we're being burnt out or on the verge of burnout? And the one thing I have to commend about Santa Clara County is that they're the first government agency that size that I know of anyways, because we were working with over 23,000 employees, right? A lot of people. They're the first government agency that size that said, you know what, yes, exercise and proper diet and nutrition is really important, but we need to do something for the mental health of the people that are serving our community. And I think it's really just, it's amazing, cutting edge. It is leading edge, yeah. And then since then, we've then transferred over to the HHS. Health and Hospital System, we've been providing classes for the whole person care program, which is ultimately to help the employees relieve stress, because so much of us are feeling this pressure from the outside. And that's the beauty of these practices, is that you can alleviate some of the pressure from the outside by going within. And it's like the body just drinks it up. It's like, it's so amazing. You'll experience it in a few minutes. It's like, just once you find your nice little chi groove, it's incredible. You can just ride that wave. And real quick about the heart being the consciousness.
And just as an example, like if you point at yourself, like point at yourself, point at yourself. Usually we point at ourselves, we point here to the chest. We don't point here to the brain, right? So that's like an indication, like here is me, I am here. This is where the consciousness resides. But how about a case study? Speaking about the Special Olympics.
Well, special, yeah. So before performing at the World Games, I performed at the U.S. Games at Long Beach.
It was Long Beach.
Long
Yeah,
Beach.
we were there. Yeah.
And
Long Beach State.
Long Beach State,
Yeah.
correct. Anyways, there's a gentleman named Brett Lauza, who's a Special Olympic athlete. And he was one of the torchbearers that was supposed to carry the torch from Athens, Greece into the LA Coliseum. Anyways, he got up at Long Beach. He was supposed to give a speech. He got up on stage and he saw the thousands of people in the audience and he froze and he walked off the stage.
Wow.
And ran into him and his mom later on. And Brett's in his 20s. And Brett said, Chris, I'm so nervous now. I froze up there, and this is anybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how has that ever happened? Is that you plan something and you get up there and you freeze, or you just become so nervous that you can't think clearly and can't respond? Okay.
So Brett said, I'm supposed to give a speech. I'm supposed to stop with a torch in various cities and give a speech. And he goes, if I froze once, what happens if I freeze again? So I gave him 2 Qigong practices. One is the heart healing sound, which we're going to cover this week, and then also the heart healing movement. Well, fast forward, the torch was coming through Los Gatos, California, and the mayor of Los Gatos and the police escorted Brett in. Brett came in with the torch, got up on stage. He gave an amazing speech, and he found me in the audience after the speech, and him and his mom, and he says, I've been doing those 2 Qigong practices every day. And Brett has informed us that he's now speaking in front of over 10,000 or plus people.
Huge
audiences. So this is the power. It really gave Brett the power in order to overcome this anxiety of speaking to large audiences. And this is the whole idea of Qigong. So besides the Special Olympics, besides the HHS systems, we're also sponsored by Open Space Authority, where we would actually go to these open space reserves in the San Francisco Bay Area, teach free Qigong or Tai Chi classes to the public and get people out in nature. We're also sponsored by the San Francisco Bay Wildlife Society, so that was quite a privilege to be able to work with them. We've worked with Western Digital, we've worked with Google, we've worked with Marvell Semiconductor,
lots of corporate stuff.
Tesla. We also taught classes for Tesla as well
Tuesday.
too. So so our experience over the years has taken us in so many different directions and places, and it's quite a blessing to be able to be of service to so many people and get a chance to get into so many different communities to share this ancient art. So
that's amazing. So going back to the story of Brett, will you demonstrate? Can we show the people what those 2 practices
are?
that you showed?
Okay, so
maybe some fundamentals to begin.
Let's talk about the fundamentals first
just
here.
Briefly.
Okay, so the fundamentals of Qigong are 3 regulations, and the first regulation is physical posture. And so if you're standing, what's going to happen is you're going to stand out with it's called the Wu Ji posture.
Okay.
Wu Ji stands for nothingness, the Tao, or complete emptiness. So by standing in this posture, you're trying to mimic that of nature and become empty. Okay, so what's going to happen is our feet are out about shoulders width apart. The toes could be straight forward, or they could be kind of slightly out, just a little bit. Our knees are not locked, so we gently unlock the knees. And by doing so, then what happens is that we allow for the blood flow from the waist down to the feet to increase. We're gently tucking our sacrum underneath. And what I mean is that if you have that S-curve spine, I'm going to roll that sacrum underneath here. And by doing so, there's actually an acupuncture point right opposite the belly button called the Ming Men. So as she tucks here, there's an acupuncture point.
Here to here.
She tucks that sacrum underneath. And then she presses back this Ming Men. This Ming Men is directly located between the left and the right kidney. Ming Men is also called the gate of fire.
Gate of fire.
And the kidneys relate to water, so it's a proper mixture of fire and water, which produces a steam or the qi, which then circulates around the body. So by standing this way and then engaging this Ming Men, then what happens is that I'm going to gently tuck the chin. When I do that, I press up on the crown point. So by gently tucking the chin, I press up on the crown point in the top of the head, elongating my cervical spine. Okay, so now you see what's happening is that I've elongated my cervical spine, my thoracic spine, and my lower lumbar.
Okay.
Tip of the tongue is gently curled to the roof of the mouth behind the teeth as if saying the letter N. And my breath then, because then now my breath is, which is the second regulation, is long, steady, even, and deep into the lower abdomen. Now, if you're seated or if you're in a wheelchair or if you can't get out of bed, if you're in a seated position, all you're going to do is just have your feet planted on the floor if possible. If not, that's okay. The hands can either rest on the knees, face down or face up. But again, if possible, try to tuck the sacrum underneath, but still try to tuck the chin, and by doing so, pressing up the ball way in the top of the head.
Elongate.
Tip of the tongue gently curls to the roof of the mouth behind the teeth as if saying the letter N, okay? So again, the breath is long, steady, even, and deep into the lower abdomen, which is located, we're locating the breath about 1 inch below the belly button. And then from here, the third regulation is mind intent, where we say that the imagination leads the mind and the mind leads the smooth flow of the qi, okay? So we're going to start off with a practice here that I call pulling down the heavens. So we're going to inhale and connecting to your higher power, whatever that looks like to you. Exhale. We're just going to calm our minds. Inhale. And exhaling, just settling in. Just feel this life force energy. And inhale. And exhaling. After you finish pulling down the heavens 3 times, we're going to go into the heart move. So one way we do it is as though we're holding a ball. And I'm going to shift over what appears to be my left, where this is my left, it may appear to be your right.
To one side.
Yeah, inhale the center, and then I'm going to press. Now one arm is up, one arm is almost like a block, and one like a strike here. We're opening up this heart acupuncture meridian, which emerges from the armpit and actually goes all the way down to the pinky on both hands. The color red or the color pink is associated with the heart, so we can imagine a pink or a red cloud filling up into the heart. As you exhale, allow for the emotions of abandonment, loneliness, lack of joy to leave the body, going out the hands, going several feet away from the body and down deep into the ground. So in Brett Lau's case, he was focused on the anxiety of speaking on stage. He focused on that feeling and visualizing what it felt like to be up there in Long Beach. And then as he turned and exhaled, he imagined that circumstance leaving like a dark cloud. Okay, if this way is a little bit too complicated, then we could do an easier way where we just cradle a baby and then we press, exhale, inhale, and exhale.
Now, does it matter, or is there a...
It doesn't really matter. I think the other way kind of looks more like a Tai Chi movement, and once again, Qigong is actually the foundation of Tai Chi as well. Allowing for the positive virtue of love to come in.
Love.
Pink cloud fills up, and as we exhale, allowing for that overexcitation, that abandonment, whatever the emotional component is. So once again, the heart is the emperor, empress of the body. It dictates how much of an emotion will be expressed or suppressed. All right. And then we're going to do one more press here, coming back to the middle, pulling down the heavens 3 times. Inhale. And exhaling. And inhale. And exhaling. Last pull, inhale. And exhale. Okay, now this next practice, healing practice, is called the heart healing sound, because each of the 5 major organs of our body, our heart, our lungs, our spleen, our kidneys, and our liver, are mainly responsible for sustaining life, and they are all affected by different negative emotions. So the healing sound for the heart is ha, like laughing, because a lot of people don't realize this, but you could actually die of a heart attack from laughing too hard.
That's how I want to go.
So, and if you think about it, if you have a laughing attack at something, what's the first thing you do? Or if you lost a loved one, or a pet has ran away or had to be put to sleep, you hear the person sigh a lot, or the person may yawn a lot, okay? So what I want you to do I want you to make this into a mindfulness practice. And what's going to happen is I want you to focus on something that created pain for you, or maybe you're in the middle of pain right now. Maybe it's physical pain, or more importantly, emotional pain. Feel that. Who's involved? What's involved? Maybe you just had a breakup. Maybe you're grieving because we just came out of the holidays, or loss of a loved one, or an anniversary or something like that. I want you to feel that.
Perhaps.
Yeah, job, friends moving away. It could be a whole number of things. I want you to feel circumstance to make it into a mindfulness practice. And then what I want you to do is we're going to pull the breath into the heart. I want you to imagine a pink cloud filling up into the chest. And then as we exhale, we're going to go ahead and make the ha sound. It has to be ha specifically.
Ha.
So we're going to do a few of these audibly.
Okay.
And then we're going to do a few inaudibly.
Under our breath.
Under our breath, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
So go ahead and gently close the eyes, and once again, either from a seated or standing position. I want you to focus on and feel your heart. And I want you to imagine a pink cloud that begins to envelop the entire heart. And from here, I want you to go ahead and feel and imagine anything that has caused pain for the heart, anything that's created anxiety for you, has created loss, abandonment. And as we inhale, allow that pink cloud to go deeper and deeper into the heart. And then as we exhale, making the ha sound. So inhale. Inhaling. Inhale. Inhale. Now doing the sound underneath your breath, inhaling. So as you continue to inhale, allowing the pink cloud to go deeper and deeper into the chest. As you exhale, allow for this pain to leave like a dark cloud, going several feet away from the body and down deep into the earth. If you're feeling a stuck feeling in your throat, as you make the ha sound underneath your breath, go ahead and lift the chin. And just imagine as you make the ha sound, that circumstance leaving, going several feet away from the body, from the throat, and down deep into the ground. And as we let go of the pain, the hurt, the anxiety, the positive virtue of love comes in and takes the place. Let's do a couple more underneath our breath. Inhale. And then from here, finishing off by pulling down the heavens 3 times. Inhale.
It's kind of zenned out there.
And exhaling. And inhale. And exhaling. Inhale. Final pull. Exhale. And then placing the hands over the lower abdomen, we're just going to finish off with a white pearl meditation. And so with the eyes gently closed, I want you to imagine a white pearl that forms underneath the hands as you inhale. And then as you exhale, allow for the warmth and the white light from the pearl to radiate around the waist to the kidneys on the low back. Each time you inhale, the pearl gets brighter and brighter. And then as you exhale, allow for the warmth and the white light to radiate around the waist to the kidneys. Couple more breaths. Inhale. Feel the warmth, the light expand, and then as you exhale, filling up into the kidneys. And then from there, last breath. Inhale. And exhale, allowing your light to shine, filling up your entire body. And then from there, slowly open up your eyes, shaking out your feet.
Ooh.
How do you feel?
Relaxed, ready to go.
Okay, so as you see here, the Qigong is, we give you a few different practices because Qigong is a combination of gentle moving practices like we demonstrated with the heart movement, but also guided meditations. And also healing sounds as well too. So, and the meditations, no matter how simplistic they are, they're all meant to do something medicinally inside the body.
And if you are practicing along at home or wherever you are, you can notice and feel the difference, right? Like I feel much more relaxed after going through that sound together.
The healing sound.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so the difference between this and let's say conventional therapy, for example, and this is how we utilize this Qigong practices for mental health is that, yes, I want, so that's the power of Qigong. And by making the connection, the mind intent with the specific organ as well too, and the color associated, that brings about even more of this transformation and this positive change.
It's like a key that can unlock the door of pain into health and happiness inside the body.
Inside the body, yes.
Yeah. There's another case example of Michelle Pocabla, and she's a massage therapist. So she's a body worker in Pebble Beach, and she's been doing it for 30 years, for quite a long time. She's worked with thousands of people. Well, in her case, she woke up on her 50th birthday and couldn't move her neck. And she was telling me, she said, I work with people. I fix people's necks for a living. That's my job. And so when I woke up and couldn't move, then it was like quite astonishing for her. And it turned out she was dealing with the passing of a pet and a parent around the same time. And so what happened was she joined the Chi Club.
Oh yeah.
And she was able to simply with these movements that we're showing you today and throughout the week was able to resolve that and heal her neck pain and then go about and help more people. So it's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and going back to neck and shoulder pain, for example, every single patient I've seen with neck or shoulder issues, unless you're doing jiu-jitsu and someone popped your shoulder out or you're a pitcher, popped your shoulder out, every single one...
or car accident maybe?
Well, a car accident, so the thing about a car accident is that if you had pain immediately from the car accident, then it's a definite connection to the trauma of the impact. But if the pain shows up a week or two later, then it means that there's emotional pain associated with the car accident. So every single shoulder issue that we've seen in clinic has to come back to emotions that affect the heart. Because if you look at the acupunctured vessels that feed up into the chest are up into the face, from the arms and the hands. They're connected directly or indirectly with the heart. So
I see.
So going back to Michelle's case, the passing of a pet as well as a family member, you had this at the same time. This was emotions affecting the heart, and a lot of people will say, well, don't I need to just suck it up and move forward? Well, yes, we need to process and move forward. True, but we can't deny ourselves to feel that experience. And in some cases, like in Michelle's case, for example, because she's a very strong woman, and she was probably just plugging along, and then one day her body said, okay, you pretend like this stuff is not hurting you, but it actually is. And so this is the power of Qigong. And again, it's not a belief structure. All you have to do is do the practice, and it gives you tools to deal with the emotional stress that's in your environment, right?
Yes, that's
in your
so
day-to-day
deep.
life, yeah.
Well, we're going to move to some questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Let me go see.
Okay,
real
let's
quick.
ask some questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like to hear from you if there's any questions. Oh, one other question by Larry. I believe he's a surviving stroke patient, correct if that's Larry, and he's trying to regain function on his left side of the body. The question was, can Qigong help? And most definitely it can. The nice thing is about Qigong is that it works with both the left and the right sides of the body, which is in Chinese medicine, your left side of your body is your yang side, your right side of the body is your yin side. And so what it really helps to do is it really helps to increase the gray matter in the brain. It helps to repair nerve damage as well too. There's been all kinds of studies that Harvard has written, Harvard Medical School, Stanford has written all kinds of studies on the increase of gray matter and how it helps with different types of neurological conditions. So Larry, yes, with time you'll see that the more that you do these practices, that you actually will be able to help yourself tremendously by consistent practice.
Wow. So that's amazing. And I'm just reading a comment from James Murphy. He said, felt a release of tension in my neck and warm, heartfelt tears. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And this is something, the great thing about this is that this is something you could take with you anywhere. And so if you are feeling emotions, a lot of times what happens is when we feel emotions come up, what do? We shove it down, especially if we're in public. So the nice thing is, like that heart healing sound, for example, you could take it with you anywhere. So if you're in public, obviously you're not going to be doing the sound out loud, probably, but you could do the sound underneath your breath. So instead of you suppressing it, which creates inflammation and disease, you actually will be able to release it as it comes up for you. So that's as it comes up.
You
yes.
feel the angst.
Yeah. So yeah. Is there any more questions?
Well, there was some comments. I see Jen P and Jen B who are also Chi Clubbers. So welcome. And there's a whole list of questions.
Okay.
When practicing Qigong, are we supposed to practice on an empty stomach?
Okay, so that's a really good question. It's one of the regulations of Qigong. They say that, yes, you don't want to eat at least 30 minutes before practicing Qigong. And the whole reason why is because our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for things like resting and digesting. So if all your blood and everything is congested here around your stomach, then what happens is it could deviate from you doing the practices, or it could actually cause you to be bloated or have an upset stomach.
So don't eat right before.
Right before, yes.
About 20 to 30 minutes. It's like swimming, right? They say don't eat 30 minutes before you swim.
Right.
Yeah. And also, if you log in late, should we just jump right into the practice, or should we warm up? What do you think about that?
Yeah, one of the misconceptions about Qigong is that I need to have step by step instructions for this, but it's so simple to do that anybody could jump in at any point in time. And we have this the Qi Club that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8 to 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we have people that join us from around the world via Zoom. And even if you log in late, just jump right into the practice. If you're brand new to the practice of Qigong, it's a great opportunity for you to really take action and take these steps in order to improve your health and your well-being. And you don't have to be a Qi master in order to be able to do these practices. And the other cool thing about Qigong too is that it's actually a lot easier to do than Tai Chi.
Oh yeah, Qigong is a lot easier than Tai Chi, and also it can be easier than yoga, although sometimes when you're dredging up some emotional things,
It can be uncomfortable.
a little bit uncomfortable, but the good thing is that afterwards you feel amazing. So it's like it must be revealed to be healed. So that's part of it.
Yes.
The simplicity.
Simplicity.
Okay, just a few more questions. This is from Ed. How do I know which Qigong practices are most appropriate for me and my needs? So there's so many practices. How does one know specifically which ones to focus on?
Well, once you join the Qi Club, then what will happen is that you'll have a series of practices, and these practices actually correspond with my book, Qigong for Self-Refinement, Total Health with the 5 Elements. And what will happen is that you start to see which ones, like for example, if you know you have repressed anger, for example, or resentments, and or maybe in addition to that, maybe some of the physical manifestations of that repressed anger or resentments is depression or neurological conditions, migraines, eye floaters, flowery vision, eye tremors, or facial tremors or tics, these types of things. Then or digestive problems like acid reflux or GERD or IBS, Crohn's disease, colitis, blood in the stool. These are all the signs of liver disharmonies. Now, other organs obviously are playing a role in this as well too, but you have to look at, besides your diet, you have to look at, okay, well, how am I dealing with this anger? So what will happen there, Ed, is that you'll start to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to maybe do all the 5 yin organ cleansing exercises in order to balance myself out, but then I'm going to go back and do the one specific practice for which I know that I need the most of. And right now, there's 2 big emotions that I'm seeing in clinic. One is fear.
Fear.
And the other one is anger. There's a lot of anger out there. And a lot of times the anger is a cover-up for fear. Right. So for example, the kidney cleansing exercise would be
which
really
we'll cover
good,
later this week.
which would be good for fear, and then also combining it with the liver cleansing exercise for anger and resentment.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
Is how to identify my feeling of qi in my body versus the positive buzz or feeling that I do when I practice more conventional exercises?
This is going to be much more subtle. What you should start to notice after let's say the first 30 days, well, after the first practice of Qigong, you may notice, like after doing that healing sound, like you may notice that you felt a little bit lighter. You may have noticed some tears came up or some emotions bubbled up to the surface. So Qi has many different expressions. There's no one concrete expression of energy. And I remember when I first started practicing Qigong 30 years ago, I thought I was a Qi dud because, I didn't feel energy for the longest time. Though I did feel relaxed and I did see the health benefits, it wasn't for quite some time that I actually felt this pressure or this circulating of energy inside the body. So you'll be able to tell the difference. A lot of times it's very subtle. Sometimes Qi or energy will show up during a Qigong practice as something as simple as all of a sudden getting really hot and sweating or getting cold. Or sometimes you may have start having some tremors or shakiness while doing the practices. Those are some of the sensory effects of Qi.
Sensory effects of Qi. And it seems like since the third pillar is the mind intent and the mind focus, that could play a huge role in the sensations of the Qi or the energy inside the body.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, you'll start to kind of get this overall sensation. But the one thing you should start to notice is that with daily practice, you start to notice that you feel lighter. You'll start to heal from your chronic illnesses and pain.
You'll sleep better.
You'll sleep better. You'll find that emotional triggers should start to diminish as well too, like your responses to certain situations and issues.
Your ability to be more present during the conflict.
Right, yes.
Will improve.
Gotta practice what I preach.
Right, yeah.
Anyways.
We're husband and wife team, so we get to have that experience.
And the great thing is that, those emotional triggers as well too. So you should start to notice the things that would trigger you before. Now, your sympathetic nervous system isn't in that fight or flight constantly all the time, and that you should notice that you're more relaxed. And yeah, and it's something, it's your healing journey. So the more time and energy that you put into it, then the more that you get out of it.
The faster you'll see the benefits and the results.
True. And, you know, it's so simple. And it's that simplicity that's so profound.
And it's not like you know, weight training where they have the philosophy no pain, no gain, right? It's more subtle than that, because in Qigong it's like no pain, no pain. Right. It's like if it doesn't feel good, then take a pause and
come back to it
and do something different.
Yeah. So Qigong is another system in which to focus on the internal aspect of your being to help you improve your physical, your mental, emotional, and your spiritual development. And it still is not something, you know, you still need to hydrate properly with room temperature water. Still need to eat healthy according to your constitution. Still need to get enough sleep. Physical exercise is still important as well too. So going for a brisk walk every day,
I was just thinking walk.
or you know, going to the gym, taking some kind of classes. You know, it's a combination. We want to combine the external with the internal, and and really, it's magical just the quality of life that you can bring about from implementing these simple practices.
It's like catching a wave.
All right.
And now I just had a note here is that since we are in a new year, right? Today's the first Monday of
the new year.
And so it's always a good idea to set some intentions.
For 2022.
2022. What would you like to receive in this new year? As well as what are some of the things that you would like to let go of? And if you feel comfortable, then perhaps drop that into the chat and let us know, because we are here for you and we want to help guide you to be the best person that you can possibly be.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for joining us. Please join us tomorrow. And if you hopefully you really enjoyed today's class. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the transformation, going into the transformation that comes about with the practice of Qigong and implementing this into your life. Yes. But please share this with your friends and their family. It's something that everybody can utilize. And the cool thing about the Qi Club too is that even if you can't join us live,
there's the recording.
You have the recording. So you have the recordings for up to 1 week to come back. And we noticed that quite a few people go back and watch it at night after they get off from work.
So share, comment, love, like. Oh, and by the way, how do you spell love?
How do we spell love?
Like this.
Love.
Love. And that's a wrap.
And that's a wrap. Until tomorrow, we will Qi you later. Bye. Leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we will Qi you tomorrow.